Good morning, everyone. So, last session we learned about forms, form and validation, how to handle them. So, two types of third-party libraries we use. One is Formic, another one Hookform. So, how to design forms, how to set up validation for form, we learned. So, form is not completed. We learned how to handle it. Now we will use in different examples how to design forms, work with forms. Later we will use in interacting with APIs, posting the data, all these things we will learn. Now, what are the important basic concepts we learned in React is we discussed about data binding, style binding, class binding, event binding techniques. And we learned about handling forms and the form validation. These are all concepts we discussed under working with functional components. Function components or functional components, anything is fine. Function components. So what type of components we designed? We designed function components. In function components, we learned how to handle data binding, style binding, class binding, and event binding. Data binding means two techniques are there, one way and two way. Accessing data from the source and binding to UI. Any modifications in UI, identify them, update into the source. That is done with data binding. Dynamically applying styles, that is style binding. Dynamically applying classes, that is class binding. Handling various interactions with user, on blur, on focus, on mouse over, these are all at the event binding. And creating interactions with the user with forms and validating user input is form validation. These are the concepts you learned up to now detailedly in React. Now, after understanding this, moving forward, we need to know about another is controlled components. We need to know about controlled components. So it is a common question in interviews for React people is what are controlled and uncontrolled components? Controlled components and uncontrolled components. So what is the purpose of component? We are building application using component. Header component, main component, footer component, like that. What is purpose of the main purpose of component? One of the main purpose of component is reusability. We can reuse the designs. But what is the problem till now you have seen is you designed a component, you can reuse the component in the same way. Am I right? But I want the same component but need to make some changes according to my requirement. For example, suppose for a website, we are building, let's say, So this is Amazon. Amazon is using some components. For example, they are using a component. This is carousel. Actually, this carousel component, sliding banners and all, it is provided by Bootstrap, getbootstrap.com. These people, let's go to examples. When we go to, let's go to docs. When I go to documents, scroll down, you will find components. In that carousel component is there. You see, these are all components of Bootstrap. These are all components of Bootstrap. Accordions, alerts, badges, different components are there. I selected carousel component. So they have given a carousel component. And what is the carousel component? A slideshow component for cycling through elements. It can be images or slides of text. Now for this, they have already given a component. You see, it works like this. Now this component we are using in our projects. Are we using in the same way? No, we can customize according to our requirements. We can remove these left, right navigation buttons. We can put only slides changing. We can design with indicators at the bottom like this. We can customize according to requirements. That means there is a component. You don't need to use the component in the same way. You can change according to your requirements. These are controlled. These components are controlled components. So what are controlled components? Controlled components means the components that allow customization. That means you can use the component in the same way how they given to you. You can customize it according to your requirements. All these days, the components that you designed are uncontrolled. Suppose we designed one Netflix screen. In that we created a register component. And we can use that somewhere else, but we have to use in the same way. But I must able to customize its colors, its appearance, its features. In one situation, I don't want left right button. In another situation, I want. Component is same, but we must able to customize according to our requirements. Then these components are called as what? Control. We call these components as controlled components. So uncontrolled components are the components that provide a design and functionality that you use across various locations in the same way. Controlled components need to be controlled by the parent. That means uncontrolled components you don't need to control. Controlled components we need to control. How we have to control? We have to tell how to design. What styles you want, what colors you want. You tell, according to that it will display. So majority all components that we take from third party, they are all what kind of components? Controlled components. If you remembered, you have used Formic. Formic is a component. It is a controlled component. Why? Because Formic is having, what is it? Initial values. What are initial values? Initial values are nothing but the form values. Na? Whatever the values are there in the form, you have to define. Is every form same? No. The initial values are fixed. Initial values are fixed. They will be changing according to requirement. So it is not same everywhere. It changes according to situation. So this component is what type of component? Control. It is a controlled component. So controlled components actually. So uncontrolled and controlled components, right? Components are categorized into various types. They are categorized into various types. Components are categorized into various types, like we have uncontrolled, controlled, higher order, etc. Later you will learn about other also, what is higher order components and all. So there are various types of components, controlled, uncontrolled, higher order components. These are very frequently asked in interviews. So uncontrolled components are absolute components. So with a specific design and a functionality. So uncontrolled components are absolute components with a specific design and functionality. Uncontrolled components are absolute components. So they are absolute components with a specific design and functionality. What is meant by absolute? Actually, we have two important terms. Absolute, another is relative. These two terms are side by side always. We have absolute and relative. In web technologies, many times later also you will come across with this. In interviews, they ask what is absolute path, what is relative path. Later you will learn about absolute and relative path when you are learning routing like concept. Absolute relative terms are very common for developers. Absolute means it doesn't need to depend on anyone. It is independent. It is individual. It is not dependent on any other. If it is not dependent on any another and it is individual, then we call them as what? Absolute. Relative means it is not independent. It depends on another. It is relative to another. It may be parent, it may be adjacent, anything. That means relative are dependent, so and absolute are independent. They are independent, they are individual, they are not dependent on anyone. They are not depending on your inputs. They have their individual functionality, but relative completely depends on your inputs. That means what you tell, according to that they will behave, according to that they will display. So always absolute is independent and relative are dependent. So that means, so they are independent. and not dependent on other components in design. They are independent and not dependent on other components in design. So these are uncontrolled components. Controlled components are dependent on the values from other components. Controlled components are dependent on the values from other components. So you can customize according to the requirements. You can customize according to the requirements. Actually, it is not a new thing for general JavaScript people. Already you know the concept here. So for example, you learnt about functions, right? So in JavaScript, you know about a function. Usually, suppose, let's say we are writing a function. In JavaScript, we are writing some function. We are writing a function, print numbers. Now in that we return a for where I starts with 1, I less than 5, I plus plus. And some document dot write, it is printing the value of I. Okay, you return a function. When I call this function print numbers, what it does? It prints numbers from 1 to 5. So if I call this 10 times, it will print same every time. But I want it to change according to my requirements. In one situation, it should print 5. In another situation, it should print 10. In another situation, 100. Then how? Huh? Then we need to pass the parameters. Am I right? If anyone asks what is the purpose of parameters in a function, parameters are used to modify the function. What is the purpose of parameters in a function? Parameters are used to modify the function so that we can modify according to the requirements. That means what parameters can do, they can modify the function. Now it will print I less than how much what params. Now first time you pass 10, second time you pass some 5, 4, anything, it will change according to. Is it doing the same every time? No, it is changing. You are controlling its functionality now. So this is a controlled component. Understood? It is a controlled component. That means you can control according to your requirement. If anyone in interview asked you like, tell me any controlled component of your HTML. You learned HTML. In HTML, tell me about any controlled component that you have learned. So the best one is input is a controlled component. No? Why? Because if I give type text, this input will become a text box. If I give type date, it will become a date. If I give input type password, it becomes password. That means component is only one. The component is what? Input. But it is changing according to requirement. So this is one best example of controlled component. So input is a controlled component. That means it is going to change according to your requirements. So they just give an input, you tell the type. For which situation, which type you want. According to that, it will change. Can we design similar to this? Yes, we can design similar to this. These type of components are called as what? Control. And generally, the parameters, our component is also function. Component is also a function. Now, if a function component can take parameters, through that you can modify. These parameters are technically called as properties. And React.js call them as React props. Properties. Properties are used to control a component. A component can be controlled by using properties. And you can pass properties and you can tell what type of functionality you need. According to your requirement, it will be changing. It will be changing. This component is called as what? Control. That means controlled components, how we can control them? Actually, components can be controlled by using props. By using props. Props are nothing but properties. Components can be controlled by using properties. So syntactically, you have a function, component, and props. All these days, we are not using any parameters. Just this is a rough design. All these days, we are not using any parameters. Just we are designing a component and they are all uncontrolled components. This is a controlled component. And now you are expecting some properties into it. This props is what type? That props is object type. This props is an object type. That means it will have key and value. It is an object type, key and value. For example, you learnt in HTML input. Input is a component. What are the properties of input? Input have a lot of properties like type, like size, like value, like pattern, like required, am I right? Like min length, like read only, so many. And remember, the type takes what type of value? String. Size takes what type of value? Number. Value can be string. Pattern, regular expression. Required, Boolean, true or false. Min length, number. Read only Boolean, disabled Boolean, true, false they take. That means it's a key and value collection. That means there can be several properties. The properties are referred as an object. That means every component properties, component props is object type. Remember, this is just a formal name. You can give any name. A, B, C, X, Y, Z. You know already JavaScript function parameters are formal. Na? Formal parameters means you can give any name. You have formal parameters, you have actual parameter. Formal name can be anything. So traditionally, because they are properties, we use the word props. It's not necessary. You can use any term. That's a formal name. You can give any name, but it refers to properties. So the props is an object type. So object type means with key and value collection. With key and value collection. That means generally how we do. So we have a function, component, and we have props. And you have to use these props here. How to use the props is props dot key. We have to define the key. We can use the props using key. The props using key. Right. So it is a key value collection. Keys are dynamic keys you need to provide. And remember here, every key or property is a required property. Required property means you cannot ignore. Every property is a required property, means you cannot ignore. It is mandatory. Later we can make them optional. To make them optional, we need some other techniques to implement. But usually, you know that in JavaScript, every function parameter is required parameter. Can you ignore them? You cannot ignore the parameters because they return undefined. Every parameter you defined in a function are mandatory to pass. There are no optional parameters. It is mandatory to pass. So every key or property is a required property. It is mandatory. So you can ignore using optional implementation. You can ignore using optional implementation. Every property is a required property. You can ignore using optional implementation. For that, you need some techniques which we will learn. We will see how to handle. So what is the point now? So how do you pass? This is the component name and it will have a key is equal to what? Value. So you need to pass the key and equal to value. That's how we need to access the component. That means we are designing a component. Component is having properties. These properties will have the keys. Those keys we need to use them. And into them we need to pass some values. So whenever you access the component, you need to pass the properties as keys and values. As keys and values. Let's see one design. So we will try to create same like these people, bootstrap like people. We will try to create one nav bar. I want a navigation bar. And different people can use that nav bar. But what should be in that nav bar, that they will decide according to their requirement. What should be the company name? What should be the menu items? That they will decide. I want a navbar in such a way that user can customize the navbar according to his requirements. I just need to provide a navbar. He can modify according to his requirements. So let's see how to design it. So what we will do now in our project, we will go to the project location. It is starting npm start. Now what we will do here is, here we need to add one more folder. In SRC, I'm adding a separate folder. Let's say controlled components. I'm adding a folder called controlled components. A separate folder is there, controlled components. Now in controlled components, I will add a new file, navbar.jsx. I'm creating a navbar. Okay. Let's create a navbar. Export function and a navbar. Now return, this navbar should return a nav. It should return a nav component. In that left side, I want company name. So I will keep 3 divisions, div 1, div 2 and div 3. In the left side division, I want company name. So I will put a span, class, font size, font weight as bold, font size as some 4. Okay. And here I want the company name, but that name will be changing according to his requirements. Whatever he wants, he can give. So this name is not fixed. So it will be controlled by us. We will control it. How? So into the navbar, we will pass what? Props. Now props will have a it's an object. It can have keys and values. Here I want to put binding expression. I want to get the props. We will have a property called brand title. Brand title is the property. Remember, properties capitalization matters. In the same case you have to use. So suppose if I give brand title, so that's fine. That means now your component navbar is expecting a brand title. And brand title will be displayed in the first div. Okay. After that, here in the second div, I am expecting home, about, contact, whatever he wants, menu items. So here I am expecting a collection of items. Collection of items means, so I want like home or about, contact like this, blog like this. Now what this can be? What is its type? What is this list type? This list type is an array. Array of what type? String. Okay. It is an array of string. So I am expecting an array of string here, so that I will read through them and I will print them side by side. So what we do, I am expecting props dot, what is it? Menu items. These names are your own names. You can give any name. And what menu items type I am expecting? Array. Then we will use what? Dot map. We will read every item. For every item, we will design a span. This span will have a class mx3. That means margin X, left, right, 3. Okay, that's fine. Now this is second property I am expecting. So your navbar have two properties. One is title, another one is map. Now it is expecting a fixed design here. That means every navbar right side is a fixed one, like sign up, like so another option, anything you can give. So I want a button here, and button is what? Sign in. This is a fixed one. Class BTN, some danger. So like this we are giving. So that is simple. Okay. This is a button, and this navbar I will keep as deflex, justify content between. That's a flexible navbar. And of course I will use some border one. So something like this, padding 2, like this we added some design. Now I want this navbar. This navbar is ready now. I want this navbar. So above this register form. Above the register form, I want a navbar. Then how do we keep? Let's go to register form. Above this register, we need to put a navbar. You don't need to design a navbar, already it is designed. You have to import now. From where we have to import? Import which one? Navbar from which location? Controlled components. From controlled components we have to import. Because I kept this controlled component outside components. // come out of current folder. Another // one level more back. You know how to write the path. So now this navbar I want here. Then I will simply use a header area here. In this header area we will put a navbar. This is our own component. And you know every component is in JSX is self-ending, or you need a end tag. Now it's not done. You will get error. Why? Because it is expecting two properties. Na? What is the first property? Brand title. What should be the property value? It is a string. Na? Property is expecting a string. You can directly pass a string if it is a string. So what string I am expecting? Suppose shopper. That is some string I am expecting. Okay. Next, what it is expecting? There is another property. Na? What is the property name? Menu items. So here it is expecting another one. What is it? Menu items. Menu items is what type? Array. How do you pass array? Two techniques. You create one array and pass it here. That means you create one array here itself. Use some state, put some data, use an array, or directly pass an array here. How do you pass an array? Array of string. Na? I'm expecting like home, like shop, like pages. So here I'm using pages, like what? Blog. So some docs, like this we are using. And when I do that, automatically a navbar comes there. And here, what is the point? Here we need to display those options. That means I created a span in the navbar, but in the span we are not displaying anything. Na? Here we need to display, what is it? Item. And you need to follow some basic rules, like this span is repeating means it should have a key. Key is what? Item. Then you will see that will come. We have a navbar. And remember, I can use this navbar anywhere. Suppose my is 2. So margin y2. This is one navbar. And remember, for this you can add lot of customizations. I want a color theme for this navbar. I should be able to change the color theme for navbar. How do you change the color theme for navbar? Suppose let's go to navbar, and here these are all the classes you are applying, right? So now I want to add a theme class also. How do you add a string to string? We do one thing. We will make it as dynamic, am I right? And after that, what we will do, we will use a backtick. Backtick allows embedded na. In the backtick, after this, we will put some binding expression. I will say props dot theme. That means it is expecting theme. It is nothing but now what we can do is we can pass the theme now. Let's go. Now the nav bar above is expecting, it is expecting a theme. Theme I will give as, what is the theme? BG, suppose dark, text as what? White. Automatically it will appear with the theme. We are applying a theme. Now we can change this navbar. We can reuse with different functionalities. Suppose I want same navbar again with a different set of options somewhere else. You can do. Suppose see, I'm using save navbar again. This time, what are the options? There is no order in properties, but all properties are required. String properties you can ignore because string returns empty blank. Na? By default, string you can ignore, but Boolean number you cannot ignore. They are mandatory to define. So what is the theme? Theme I will use as BG primary. I will use BG primary. I will use some text white. Okay. What is the brand title? Brand title I will give as suppose Amazon. Brand title is Amazon. What are the menu items you need? Menu items I need just like home. So it is like home, or say directly electronics, some fashion, so footwear. Like this I'm just adding them. Footwear, and you can see there is another navbar with a different design. Can we change the button color also according to requirement? Of course, you can change anything. How to do this, how to do that, that completely depends on your brain now. Right? That means how to display vertical, how to display horizontal, how to display here, how to display there, how to display this, that. All that comes with your common sense and knowledge of HTML. That means what you have to do, now you have to design the component in such a way that matches the requirement. I must able to change this with a different style. Then again we need so many things. I haven't created every design. I have created only few options. What are the properties we have here? We have brand title, we have what? Menu items, and we have a theme. So you can have button also your own. You can have a button also your own. You can define button your own style. Your own buttons also you can add. Right? If you want to change the button theme, right? Sign in text, sign in theme you want to change. Then go to the navbar. This also you can take from a different, right? That means this also dynamically comes here. What are the option we are expecting class? Here we are expecting dynamic. What dynamic I am expecting here? I am expecting props dot button. Suppose I given as BTN theme. Okay. Now what we need to do, we need to pass the button theme, otherwise button theme will not come. In the first navbar, what is the button theme? BTN theme is equal to, in the first one, button theme should be BTN light, like this I given. In the first one, the button will be like this. So in the second one, what we want, the button theme is BTN and BTN warning. The button theme will be this one. It changes. So even you can control showing and hiding of elements also. In one navbar I don't want sign in, another navbar I want sign in, then what you will do? So what you can do, in one navbar I want sign in another navbar I don't want sign in, then in the navbar this area you can show and hide now. You can show and hide according to the requirements. That means what I will do here, for this I will put a class. I will put a class. Dynamically I will take the class from props dot toggle. I will give toggle, or say show sign up, show sign in. Show sign in is a property. It takes a boolean, or it takes simply class name. Show sign in is a class. D none, D block, D inline, anything you can use. That means what it is expecting the class. Suppose in this navbar, in this first navbar I don't want sign in button. Then in the first navbar what we have to do? Show sign in. Show sign in is equal to, we will put D none. Okay, D none means it will not show. In another navbar it is displayed. In one navbar it is not displayed. You can change the layout also according to situation, which you will learn now. That is called conditional rendering. Later we will discuss that point. That means according to situation, complete setup we can change. Complete appearance we can change. I will show that. There is another concept to understand for that. First you need to know basic of what is a controlled component. Controlled component should able to change according to the situation. You need a component but not in the same way every time. I must able to change its appearance, its design, functionalities, everything we should able to change. These are controlled. That means these components are controlled by the data coming from the parent. That means whenever you use navbar, if I simply use navbar without passing any data, then it is an error. It need to be controlled. Controlled by the values coming from the parent component. Parent component is hook demo. From this, the data is sent into this, then it will be controlled. So is hook demo is a controlled component? Hook demo is not a controlled component. It is an uncontrolled. I can use this also anywhere else, but it will render the same everywhere. But I must able to change them. Then we have to use the control. So controlled components allow to change according to the design, according to requirement. This is only one basic level. We will see more now. We'll see different options now. Let's see another one. This is one example. This is example. First, what you have to do, add a new folder. What is it? Controlled components. Then add a new file into folder, and that is navbar.what.jsx. I will copy the code. This is the navbar code. This is the navbar code. This is navbar code. Now we can access this navbar anywhere. So you can access from any component. I'm just using here, this is which one? Hook form. Hook form demo.what.jsx. In that component I am using this one. Let's copy this and paste. Just roughly I am adding the navbar in that component. We have to import the navbar and we need to use that navbar everywhere. That is the basic example. Let's see another one. So if you remembered, I showed you the third parties like Telerik, like others. All those third party components are controlled. They're all controlled components. And for example, let's see here. While working with controlled components, let's see here. Suppose we have a nav bar. This is Telerik. This is Telerik. Now in this Telerik, these Telerik people actually sell components. They sell components for Angular, for React, for various component technologies, Java, .NET, for everybody they sell components. You can buy and use them. You see, as I told you, these are all customers of Telerik. NASA, Microsoft, IBM, these are the customers of Telerik. That means they buy from Telerik. They buy components from Telerik. Okay, let's go to demos. In the demos, you can see they have jQuery, Angular, React, Vue, .NET, Java, JSP, PHP, all categories will be there. Suppose I will take you to React demos, and you see here they have these are most popular React components, and you see these are all the components they have, like data grid, like charts, like editor, form, so many components, hundreds are there. You see hundreds of components are present. Hundreds of components are present, so many. Now, if you observe, they have a component called grid. You see grid component is there. When I open this grid component, you see they give a grid component like this. This is one grid component. The preview, it looks like this. This is a grid component. That is a grid component. That's a grid component. Now what is this component is nothing but actually it is a table. Now they given a component table. In this table they have a lot of design. Like you see, when I click here, it will open a pop-up. It will show sort ascending, sort descending. That means it is going to design this. It is going to add this. And remember, these we will do. Later we will implement them. But what is the key point here is, first basic point we will see. This grid, they given with which type of data? Employee data. Now same grid I want for products. Same grid I want for students. For every business, they need a grid. They don't have a grid like employee grid separate, students grid separate, products grid separate. They don't have like that. They have only one grid, but it will work for any data. How? How it can design any data? Some employee data have more columns, student data have less columns, products data have different columns. Now the question is how you can design one table whose headings are uncertain, whose rows are uncertain. That means we don't know what headings they will have, but all the headings must come. We don't know how many rows they have, but all rows should come. I must able to filter, sort their data. That means our job is create one table in such a way so that the table will change according to data. You pass employee data, it will work for employee. You pass products data, it will work for products. How you can design like that? A table which can change its columns according to data. It can change according to its rows, according how many rows are coming, according to that it should able to change. Let's see how to design. Functionalities we will implement later. but first design we have to create. Then we can go with the functionalities. Let's see how it is possible. That means one example I showed you, navbar. Let's see another example, how we can design our own grids. That means I need to design one table, and in that table, how many headings I am not sure. How many rows I am not sure. What headings will be also I am not sure. But I should design a table in such a way that according to their data, it should design. They will pass the data. According to the data, it should able to change the presentation itself. So how you will create one table without knowing what headings you will have, without knowing what rows it will have. Let's see how we can do that. That is the challenging one actually. Designing such components is challenging. Not just designing, their functionality is also very important, right? Let's see one design. I will take a new component. In the components, I will take a new component. In the components, I will take a new component as suppose a custom demo. Okay. I will just add custom demo .jsx. Export function custom demo. This is ordinary component and return with just a div. Okay. This is just a custom demo. This is just custom demo. Let's keep in the startup in index. I will put this custom demo. Custom demo. It's okay. Now we want to design one grid, and we want to design the grid in such a way that it should able to change according to the data. Means let's go to the controlled components. Here I will put the component name data grid .jsx. Do you know, like this data grids in real time you need everywhere for every technology. So these grids, so many parties are present. I showed only Telerik. Like that, so many third parties are present. If in JavaScript you want like that, then you can visit this website npmjs.com. Here you can search for jQuery grid. You will see so many jQuery grids are present. You go to this jQuery grid and you will observe that they will provide a ready-made grid plugin for you. Actually, the grid will look like this. Where is their official website? Is there? They have a sample design of the grid in their official website. If they have, we can see. JGrid with navigation. You see, they have their, these are all not very professional. jQuery grid. And design they have to give. For example, you see they give a grid like this. This is the grid. This is a table. It's a simple one. In this table, they have pagination. They have data. They have how many rows per page, like options they are creating. This is a very, very simple grid. But what is the specialty is this will be changing according to data. How do you create such grids? These are very popular. How do you create such grids? Let's do. So what is the component name? Export function. What is it? Data grid. Okay. What this data grid have to return? I will keep a div. In this div, I want to design a table. Grid means a table, tabular form. Okay, table. And table will have some classes. Table also colors effects you can change according to requirement. Later we will update. Temporarily I will put a class table and table as what? Hover. Later these also we can change. Now in table we have T head is one section. T body is another section. Another one is what? T foot. T foot is another section. Let's say just only head and body we have. Table header and table body. And you know tables will have a caption. Huh? HTML you learn tables can have caption, and I will put here caption top, the class we applied. Now what should be the table caption? Employee data, students data, products data, it will be changing. So caption we are not sure. It will be changing. So what we have to take? It has to take from where? Props. Here what we are expecting? Grid have a caption. We are expecting a caption. What is it? Props. Props dot what? Caption. Okay, good. That means the caption will be according to your requirements. Fine. Next, in the header, I'm expecting a row. I'm expecting a row in the header. In this, we need headings. Headings are defined with TH. Na? How many headings you need? Not sure. It depends on how many fields they have. Na? That means the person who wants a grid, he will tell what is his data. According to his data, we need to collect the fields. We will implement lot of logic inside this, but first we will go with basic level. Then we will increase the complexity, right? What is the first basic is, I want headings. How many headings? I am not sure. I have to ask him how many headings he want. So he will pass some headings. Those we need to display here. So here we are expecting data dynamically, and it is a collection of many headings. Then obviously it will be what? Props dot, I will use as fields. You can give any name. I am using fields. Fields is a arena. We will use what? Map. And for every field we will generate TH, and it will have a key. So this map will have a, this map will generate. We have to generate a key, right? That means we need to collect every field. Am I right? For every field we need to generate a TH. And what is the key? Key is the field. And the value also field. Na? We have to give the field. That's how many fields you want, you tell. According to that it will come. Okay, let's do this. Up to this we will implement. We will go to the custom demo, and here I want some employee table. Then I need to import, what is it? Grid, data grid component. I am importing data grid component from my controlled components. In data grid, what are the properties? First property, I require a caption. Caption I will give as employee details. Okay, that is the caption. Next, what are the fields you are expecting? Remember, these property names should exactly match with the names you given. What are the fields? It's an arena. So in this, I am expecting a first name. I'm expecting last name. I'm expecting like designation, something. And you see, according to that, it designs a table. According to that, it is designing a table. Now, in another situation, I need products data, which will have different details. That means, for example, below this, I will give as a grid 1 simply, roughly. Another here I will use grid 2. Okay, here I want another data grid, but this time this related to product details. And what are the fields I want in the product details? The fields I want in the product details, like what ID, like what name, and price, and stock something. And you can see that this is different table again. One table is having 3 columns, another table is having 4 columns, but your table is only one. Your grid is only one. It is changing according to data. How you will design a table in such a way that it change? This is okay. Challenging is the rows. How many rows? For every row we need to generate a cell. Am I right? That means now the point is, here in the grid we need table body. In the table body we need to create rows. For every record, one row. That means here we are expecting dynamically. What we are expecting? We are expecting the rows, right? What we will do? Props dot what? Rows. Rows is nothing but records. I will use the word some records, okay? Okay, records, multiple records, then it is expecting a map. You read every record. Okay, for every record what to do? Actually, the records will come like an object, array of objects, huh? Array of objects. That means you are using employee data. This is first employee, na? First employee. Every employee have first name, last name, and designation. If it is products data, this is first product. Every product have ID, name, price, stock. So data is not fixed. But how many items are there? Those number of rows I need, na? So here first we need to generate a row. Row, it uses key. What is it? Record. For every record, it is going to design a row. Okay, in the row, how many cells? In the row, how many cells? In the row, we need the cells, na? TD. Cells are TD. For example, you see, I will give here sample, name, price, okay? Name is TV and price is something. So this is mobile and price is something, just roughly. Now I need to read. This is one record, am I right? That is one record. In that record, 2 cells are present. First cell must be under the first heading, second cell should be in the second. Now actually this data comes like this. It is an object. The key is what? Name. Value is TV. Another key is what? Price. Value is some 3000. Like this we are having. Now what should happen here? We need to create one cell for every key. Am I right? How many keys are present? Those number of cells I want. TD. How many TD you need in a row? That depends on how many keys are present. How to know how many keys are present in an object? How to read all the keys in an object? To read all the keys in an object, we have object.keys method, na? So what we have to do now here, object dot what? Object dot object dot what? Keys. Which object? Record object related all the keys. It is an array, na? Then we have to use what? Map. Read every key. And what we have to do, for every key we need to create one cell, TD. For every key we need to create a cell. Now this cell requires a key. I will just give the key reference. And what should be the value inside it? Not the key name. It should have the value. That means you see, name is the key. In that there is a TV. How to get its value? We are using object dot what keys. In that we are passing the record na. This record is getting, it is getting the key. The key is what? Name. This key is name. Am I right? And how to, I don't need this name. I need its value. So this key is a member of this record na. Understood? This is the record. In that record, this is a member of that particular. So what we have to do, we have to use what? Record of what? Key. Record of key means it will not get the key name. It will get the value. It will get the value. The key value it is going to display. Now see, we are expecting records. Okay, so let's go to the data. First, for employee detail. So let's remove this product detail temporarily. For employee details, what we need to do? Here, fields we passed, caption we passed. We need what? Records. Records is what? Array. Records is an array. Array of what? Object. This time it is having the key. What is it? First name. First name is some name. And last name. Last name is some name. And it is having another one. What is it? Designation. Designation is some manager. This is one record. Only one record I am having. I have another record. What is it? First, you directly pass or create data separately and you can just pass the reference name here. Okay, first name is some name, some name. And last name is some name. And designation is some name. This is what? Suppose I will say some clerk like this. This is the data for the employee. That is the data for employee. And you see employee data will come here. That is employee data is coming here. It is reading every key and value. And now second record, second here products. It is expecting what? Records. We can do one more thing. What we have to do? We will create a constant. What is it? Products. Products is set products. Set products you can pass any products later. We will use state. Temporarily it is an array. Array of what? Object. Product have a name. So some name. Product have price. Some price. Okay. Product have some ID na. I think every product have an ID. ID is some 1 or 2 something, right? Yeah. Product have stock. Stock is true or false. So sorry. Here we need to set a stock. We will give a string like stock is available or something, right? Like this. This is one product. Similarly, I will add another product. I will add another product. This is just our data. In use state, I am keeping some products data. Okay. Second, third, like this. This is number 2, number 3, and this is like mobile. This is like watch. Some different data I am defining. Different product we are having. Okay. So here we define some out of stock something. And these products I want to use in my records. Here we are expecting what? Records. Records are coming from where? Products. We are passing an array. That means it has to print the data. This time this table is different. That means you designed one table in such a way that it is changing according to data. And this is not the major. This is okay. Here functionalities are major. That means what I want here, for example, C means in future what we will do. Because as of now, our data is hard coded. Later we will bring this data from database and use the data from database. Actually, grid means you see the grid. In the grid, this is the table, I will add one table header. In TR, I will put a TH, additionally extra TH. This is like actions. And in this TR, we will put one TD. This is an extra TD. In this, we are using button. Class BTN. BTN, so BTN here, BTN is warning, and BI pen fill, something like this. We have another button, class BTN danger. So BI trash fill, I'm adding like this, and MX2. And you will see that every table have this data grid. Every table have those options buttons, edit button, another one, delete. Remember, later we will make them even work. When user clicks the delete button, that record will be deleted. When user clicks edit, it will open in text boxes so that we can modify and we can save. That means the design, and not only this, usually what we do, we will add more into the design. That means every field, after the field name, suppose we have a button, class BI, so what else? Suppose we have sort alpha down. That means it will get a sort button for everyone. You see, sort button comes. We have a sort button for everyone. Actually, later we will add the functionalities. BTN means it will come to next. Here you see this is the button. Now what should happen? For every table, there is different data now. Table data is different. The data manipulations also will be different. Every table, I just created a table. Actually, in the table row, this is T body, na? We will use T foot, table footer. Table footer, here we are having simple, just table footer, we are having a row. In this row, it's not required to have a table footer, just you can keep a div. TD, I'm just using. And here, call span, how many columns it should merge? It should merge depending on the records. How many records are present? How many records, how many data is present? Depending on that, we can. Temporarily, I'm just using some, I will not use this call span, just temporarily I'm using. This table cell will have UL, unordered list, class pagination. So here we have an LI, so class page item. And we have an anchor, class page link. Actually, this will have a, so this is a pagination actually. This is having like ampersand LAQUO, left hand side. This is nothing but, this is left, this is right, RAQUO, and this is like number 1. These are nothing but HTML entities. Suppose you see the pagination will come below everyone. The grid have a pagination. We have a pagination. So every grid have a pagination. You designed a grid in such a way that it will change according to data. These are controlled components. In majority of React interviews, when you go, they give this kind of tasks. They will say that create a grid with all CRUD operations. Even you are a Java.NET developer or any software full stack developer, every practical interview for fresher is CRUD operation. That means what you should practice very well, CRUD operations. CRUD operations means pull the data from database, show in the UI, design the UI with read, insert, update and delete. If you cannot do, don't attend any interview. because not possible for every fresher out of 100, 100. Out of 100, 100 means every interview they test you on CRUD operation for fresher, especially. Because a developer's job daily life in companies is working with these CRUD operations only. Java developer, .NET developer, React, Angular, anybody is tested with these CRUD operations. But depends on their requirement. Some will give you a grid. Some people will say that design your own forms, grids, everything. So depending on the requirement. So we must able to design components which can change according to the data. Changing according to data is not just important. We need functionality also. That means we need to make these work. They should able to sort. They should able to filter. We need the functionality also to do. This is one level of controlled components. We have so many about controlled components. We have so many things to know about controlled components. Two basic we have learned. One is how to create a navbar which changes according to our data. How to design a grid that changes according to our data. It can change according. Now colors affects your wish. Colors affect. That means table theme. You can change according to situation. For example, how do you change the table theme? You just learned na? Go to data grid. How you will change? How you will change the table theme in this table? Better you put a dynamic expression. Am I right? In the dynamic expression. Oh, sorry. So in the dynamic expression, use the backticks so that we can concat the string. And here we put dynamic. And what is it? Props dot what? Theme. And usually what you do wherever you want, for first grid, I will use theme. Theme, actually we have theme like table is having primary. Table primary is a theme. It changes according to that. Here we are not merging. Later we can merge, right? Suppose we are using table dark. It will give a table dark theme. It will apply accordingly. It depends. Usually it changes according to that. So this is optional. If you want, you can apply, you can define, and so many. Now, while working with controlled components, this is how we can display the components according to our data. You can bring this data from API, like fake store. You can put the data here. Just we need to pass an array. Na? You pass the array, according to array, data is designed. Data is designed. This is one important example. I will copy this example. This is example of data grid. This is second one. This is example of data grid. What is the controlled component name? It is data grid dot what? JSX. This is in which location? Controlled components. In controlled components you have. And how to implement it? So we are implementing in custom demo. In this is components. In components we have custom demo dot what? JSX. This is custom. Now we will learn more functionality into this. That we'll see in next session. More functionality means in this again more are there. Like suppose in one situation I want card like. In another situation I want grid like. According to situation you can change complete layout also. Change complete layout also. For that you need to understand another technique. How to design controlled components which can change complete layout. In one occasion it looks one style, another location looks with another style. That we will see tomorrow. How do we do that? Okay, right. Yeah.